Testing, testing. Testing, testing, 1, 2, 3.
The convocation will begin in a few minutes. Thank you. Sorry, in case you didn't hear that because of the echo, the convocation will begin in a few minutes. Thank you. All right, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to this convocation for the March special elections for the vacant positions of the UP Law student government for the rest of the academic year 2022 to 2023. I am Andy Mencias, one of the commissioners of the UP Law Electoral Commission, and I'll be your host for today. Now, for this convocation, the candidates will be given 2 minutes each to present their opening spiels. There will be a question and answer portion specific to the candidates based on the questions that were submitted online, answerable also for 1 minute. Follow-up questions should be answered within 30 seconds, and the candidates must also keep their Zoom video closed until it's their turn to speak. Now, on that note, you may still submit your questions on the provided Google form. So the link is actually on the Elecom page and the UP Law Community Hub, and it's also going to be flashed on our screen right now. That's tinyurl.com/convocqse23. So capital C, Q, S, and E. All right. Now I think we should just get right to it, right? So let's start by beginning our opening spiels with our candidate for the first year batch representative, Julian Vincent Taloma.
Good afternoon, UP Law. Good afternoon, batchmates. I'm Julian Taloma. You may call me JT or Ju, and I'm running to be your next batch representative. So in one of Nike's ad campaigns, they presented the idea that greatness is not born, it is made. And now we're halfway through our first year of law school, and I understand how we've all been trying to adjust and survive this new environment. Personally, one of the things that have helped me adjust is having a solid support system, which is my block. And this is why I could just envision what a bigger support system could make for our batch. And I think it could make us great. And that is why I say, just do it. So as your batch representative, I have three duties in my checklist that I intend to accomplish during my term. So these are teamwork, training, and togetherness. So this semester, we have the chance to start building the foundations for our batch to reach greater heights. So if if I'm gonna answer if we could reach greatness as a batch, well, I think with teamwork, training, and togetherness, we can definitely do it. So once again, I'm Julian Taloma, your next batch representative. It starts here. It starts with JP. Thank you all, and let's just do it.
All right, thank you so much, Julian. Now for your I guess your kalaban in a sense, the other candidate for first year batch representative, Mia Isabella Cruz.
Hi everyone. So good afternoon, UP Law. Knowing me, knowing you, we can make our first year a success. For a batch that is academically equipped, bridged, well bonded, and aware, I'm Mia Cruz, incumbent Vice President of Block J, and your next freshie batch rep. This first semester, I know we've all experienced firsthand how difficult law school can be. And for most of us, this is the greatest challenge we have faced yet. But I've always believed that even the greatest of heights can be scaled if people work together. So to achieve this, I plan a set of projects designed to bring us together. And all you need to remember is ABBA. So first, academics. I intend to create a consolidated G Drive for all our notes, classes, digests, and other needs, along with other initiatives for Hell Week and for student learning. Second, bridging. To help bridge concerns with the LSG, we will have a directory and a series of forms for all batch concerns. We will also have fundraisers for batch events and an easily accessible first aid kit. Third, under bonding, we will connect the batch by having social events such as interblock competitions, SEM starters, and online standby weeks. And lastly, awareness. We will have a monthly batch calendar and newsletter to keep abreast of all important dates and events. And we will continue all of the information dissemination initiatives of the LSG for all batch concerns. So once again, I am Mia Cruz, running to be your next freshie batch rep. And take a chance on me. Hashtag Stream ABBA by Mama Mia.
Okay, thank you so much, Mia. I do just want to clarify the kalaban thing I said earlier. Just a reminder to all the first years out there, you actually can vote for 2 representatives. So keep that in mind when you cast your votes on March 23. Now that we're done with the freshies, let's move on to our second year batch representative candidate, Mr. Martin Alfonso Pascual.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Martin Alfonso Pascual, and I'm running to be your second year batch representative. So first, I want to tell you as early as now that I am a visionary. I envision the batch to be a community of law students helping one another achieve excellence inside and outside the classroom. I envision each student to be the best possible version of themselves mentally, physically, and emotionally by providing projects that would enable them to do so. And as a visionary, I am also ambitious since I want to turn my visions into reality. I want my batchmates to excel together through the different projects that I plan to implement. So paano nga ba to lahat magiging posible kay Pascual? So although I haven't been elected yet, I've already thought of 3 main projects that I want to enact once, if ever I do win as batch representative. And all these projects are centered towards the batch collaborating and uniting as one. So one project is the batch fundraiser. Another one is the batch bulletin board. And another one is the batch study session. So with this, I hope that I become a solid bridge between and the LSG. So hopefully on March 23, you can vote for me and together we can make all this possible. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Martin. And now for our next candidate for Iloilo Evening Representative, Earl Vincent Lencio.
Can't see clearly.
Hello, good afternoon. This is very funny. This is Earl Vincent Lenzo. I'm running for Iloilo Evening Representative. Naturally, as one of the students under the evening blocks of Iloilo, I'm still at work because my classes don't start until 6 p.m. With every representative position that you'll probably be voting, the best factor for you to consider would be that person knowing the pain points of your constituents. For example, me, I know the pain points of evening people because my work hours are very tight as well and very close to my classes. As a matter of fact, during this convocation right now, I'm attending a work meeting still. But as for my platforms, it's mostly focused on fostering of academic support for evening people and of course the general Iloilo people as well. Fostering more socialization activities for our Iloilo people, and then extension of more opportunities for the Iloilo for the constituents of the Iloilo extension classes. I'll keep it short because as I mentioned, I'm still attending another meeting as well. For the rest of the time, it might be better used for the other people vying for their positions as well. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Earl. And now for the other Iloilo representative, but this time for the day representative candidate, Joshua Cedric Carmen.
Good evening. Good afternoon. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Joshua Cedric Carmen from One Iloilo Day, hoping to be your first Iloilo Day representative. While we know that Iloilo as a campus, we're still in our infancy stage, we're still starting to build ourselves from the ground up, which is why my goal is to bring us closer together, closer with the UP Law community and closer as a UP Iloilo community. First, closer with UP Law through a better integration of the UP Iloilo campus to the UP Law community. Under this plan, we plan to streamline all the concerns of our constituents through the LSG, and especially those concerning our enrollment, our exams, and most especially during the face-to-face activities. And we also want to open more opportunities for UP Iloilo, especially for our organizations and competitions and intercampus events, if any. And more than that, we hope to provide an easier face-to-face transition. While the schedule of our face-to-face may be beyond our control, we hope to at least make the transition a bit easier for everyone. Make sure to make the most out of our face-to-face and hope to assist everyone in case there are difficulties in your accommodations, in your flights, etc. And of course, not only do we want to be closer to the UP Law community, we also want to be closer as a UP Iloilo community. We've already discussed with our respective blocks our plans for our Iloilo Acquaintance Party, but more than that, we also want to be connected academically through our virtual UP Iloilo library for passing down of our resources. And again, overall, we only want one thing, and that is to feel more connected to the UP Law community. So that's all. This upcoming elections, Servicio Cedric to connect the City of Love to the UP Law community. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that, Cedric. And now finally, our only candidate running for a position that's not a batch or local position, our candidate for Public Relations Officer, Brian Gan.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Brian. I want to run for Public Relations Officer because of the experience that I have, both from a university public relations standpoint when I was working with the Ateneo student government, as well as my more professional, since I am a working student similar to Earl, my more professional experience coming from a marketing agency. It was a very short stint, but I did learn a lot. I want to bring these skills to the UPLSG because I think that there is a bigger there is a lot of opportunity for the LSG to expand in terms of its social media platforms. I intend to do this through my main platforms, which is a Dropbox, or a method for UP law students to anonymously tell the LSG things, such as concerns that they may have with their profs or other things, so that we can consolidate it and champion it to the admin. In addition, I would like to also improve the current PubMats of the LSG, as well as do a brand audit on our current channels and improve it moving forward. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Brian. And now that sorry, someone made me laugh, and that's a bit unprofessional of me. It's not anyone's fault, it's just me. Now that we have heard all of our candidates, let's give each of them a chance to address the questions submitted by the UP Law community. Sorry. Okay, let me compose myself. That's my bad. I apologize. It's not to anyone in particular. To repeat the mechanics, each candidate whom the question is addressed is given 1 minute to answer, and they have 30 seconds for follow-ups. Sorry, hold on. Okay, the first question, let me check our questions document. Okay, our first question is for Martin Alfonso Pascual. So the question is, how will you differentiate yourself from Luis Vida, the current batch rep, and how can, oh, sorry, I didn't check. Sorry, clearly I'm a little distracted, and I apologize to all the candidates for all of that. Let's go back to the all questions right now. So to all candidates except for the Iloilo representatives, since there was no special election for Iloilo representatives, what made you decide to run now and not during the last special elections? All right, I think we should start in the order that we introduced everybody. So first, let's start with JT Taloma.
Hello. So, I decided to run now because during the first semester, of course, as freshman, I was also a bit hesitating on whether I could handle the workload, especially law school is a new environment, totally different from undergrad. So now that I could say that I've adjusted. And one thing that has helped me is my block, which is my solid support system. So now that I've adjusted, and now that I know the benefits of having a solid support system, I want to share it with the batch and have a bigger solid support system within our batch. Thank you.
All right, thank you, JT. How about Mia? What's your answer to this question?
Hi. Hello. Sorry, my
Yeah,
laptop
there you
froze a
are.
little bit. So, similar to JT, I also did have a little bit of an adjustment period during the first semester. However, during that time when I was serving as a co-rep for my block and helping with the implementation of the systems, I realized that I wanted to extend that service to the rest of the batch. And I felt the same way as well when I volunteered to be the registration committee point person of our batch during the start of the second semester. So I hope I can only continue to be of service for the upcoming SEM. Thank you.
All right, thank you for that, Mia. Now for Martin Pascual. So the same question: what made you decide to run now and not during the last special elections?
So I decided to run now because of two factors, actually. So one is I was inspired by the current batch rep, Luis Vida, because of how approachable he is and how understanding he is whenever I reach out to him regarding my questions. And the second factor is I was inspired by my classmates, my blockmates, because throughout first sem, they've been nothing but helpful to me, getting through every single day. And with this, I want to be the person they were to me, to others. And the reason I didn't run during the first semester was because although I thought about it, I was actually really anxious not to run because I was nervous if I can do it. But then overcoming first semester, I was able to get to become well adjusted. And now I think is the time for me to actually pursue this. Thank you.
Thank you, Martin. And now for our candidate for PRO, Brian Gan.
Hello. To answer the question, why did I decide to run now and not during the last special elections? I think it was because I was a bit bummed out because from what I remember, this is actually the second time I tried running. The first time I tried running, funny story, I applied to the wrong position. I think I applied to the wrong evening rep or to the wrong rep position. And so I was actually reluctant towards running. I think in the next opportunity. So that's what made me decide to run now. It was actually a relatively quick decision because I just asked a friend what the open roles in the LSG were, and I was told among them was actually the PRO, and it's the role that I find myself to be the most comfortable in, or where I know that I have the most to offer. So within about 3 hours, I ended up filing candidacy. So that's how it went down.
Thank you so much, Brian. Before we get to the next question, I just want to apologize a little bit again for the laughing fit that I had earlier. It wasn't towards any candidate. That was purely just my fault, and I just want to apologize to each of the candidates. No one was laughing at any of you. Okay, so now let's move on to our next question. And this one is addressed to a specific candidate. So this one is addressed to Mr. Martin Alfonso Pascual for second year batch rep. So the question is, our current, since I'm also in second year, our current batch rep, Luis Vida, has been doing a very good job as batch rep, according to this submission. What can or will you add to his work?
So, with that being said, I actually agree. Luis has been doing a really good job. And as I mentioned earlier, he's one of the reasons that inspired me to run. So, coming into this elections, my goal here is to really just complement Luis, to really supplement him, to supply him with the necessary tools that he didn't have past few weeks, past few months, because he was doing everything alone. And I saw the struggle he was doing. I saw the struggle he was going through because he was having it was hard to juggle having all these workload and at the same time have class. And my duty here, I believe, is to fill in the gaps and at the same time share with him my input as his co-batch rep in order for us to really achieve or really attain the goal of achieving what's best for the batch. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Martin. And now our next question is going to be addressed to our PRO candidate. So can we flash the question, please? Okay, it seems there's a problem with, there we go. Okay, so to Brian Gan, aside from making publicity materials for the LSG, how else do you plan to serve the student body as the PRO?
Okay, so to answer that question, I think that the PRO position is often credited with just being the mouthpiece of the LSG, which is more or less what happens in any student government with some kind of PRO related role. I think that one way to expand it, or more or less what I intend to do, is to turn it more into a more communicative two-way approach, which is why one of my platforms is to listen and to consolidate through the use of a Dropbox that I intend to build. I already have a prototype in order for the UP Law students to raise their concerns to the LSG, and the LSG will be able to champion these concerns to the UP Law admin. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Brian. And now our next question is going to be addressed to all the Diliman candidates specifically. So, personal one for me, I like to eat, and I have to ask each of you this. How would you address the lack of affordable food choices in Macam Hall? I guess we should start with the first years. So let's start with JT.
Hello. So during the first semester, actually, I've been trying to go out a lot with my blockmates and check other food places. So aside from, of course, elevating this problem to the admin, wherein they could have the stalls from pre-pandemic reopen, we could also have a map wherein we could have the different food options or restaurants, carinderias, even the ones that sell pancit canton, around or near Malcolm or even around UP Diliman or in Katipunan, wherein the prices are stated or the menu or the type of food that they're serving, so that uh, for example, you need to eat somewhere and you can choose, or you could just look at that map and then easily decide where to get that where to get the food that you want. Thank you.
Thank you, JT. Now for Mia, can you answer the question? How would you address the lack of affordable food choices in Malcolm Hall?
Hi, yes. So one of the other things I noticed also is that there is a space in commons. So possibly one of the things we could do is we could open up a call for concessionaires or small businesses that may want to also provide more accessible food choices in Malcolm. And these can also be monitored so that we are sure that the kind of food that is offered is also up to particular health standards, so that at the same time we maintain a balanced diet and focus on both the physical health of the students. Thank you.
Thank you, Mia. And now for Martin, what's your answer to the question we have right now?
Well, one of my platforms in running is become a bridge between the batch and the LSG or the admin. With this, I would address the issue by gathering first input from all around the batch, from my batchmates, because I want to hear what they want in order for me to craft the best possible solution. Since my platform is really geared towards what the batch wants, I want to hear what they want to have or what they want to achieve with this issue, and it's going to be my duty to address this and craft the best possible solution in order for me to help them. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Pascual. And now for Brian, what's your answer to how you would address the lack of affordable food choices in Malcolm Hall?
Hi, apologies. I just want to note that I'm from BGC Eve 2. So I am a bit familiar with the area, so I'll answer the question anyway. I think that one way to go about it is to improve or to create routes closer to, or to basically create deliveries or routes or consistent scheduled drop-offs maybe from area 2. I know that it's been reopening. One of the restaurants I've been looking forward to actually is Just Juniors. So I think that's one way to go about it. I'd like to make use of what's already there as opposed to trying to pull something from maybe further away like Maginhawa. But I think it would also be tricky if we were to do anything further than that, because it would take a much longer time and we only really have half a semester, more than half of a semester in order to execute such ideas.
Thank you, Brian, and apologies for not noting that you are from the BGC campus. However, I do think this is a good question for all the candidates naman, and it's good that you answered it. Now let's move on to the next question. All right, this one is again addressed to all candidates. Here at the UP Law Elecom, we like to ask both serious and very difficult questions. We're about to ask you this. What kind of silog represents you the best and why? So silog ang mga bang silog, tap silog, bakon silog. Choose your kind of silog and tell us why. All right, let's go backwards. Let's go back to Brian.
Hi. Okay. So I actually would say that I think the long silog represents me the most. Only because I'm a really big fan of longanisa, specifically the garlicky kind. So just 3 days ago for breakfast, I had like the garlic longanisa. I forgot which one it was, but it's orange and it emits a lot of oil. And I opened it from the casing in order to make it as crispy as possible. So it just fried in its own oil. I would say that would be the silog that represents me the most, only because it's my favorite. So I don't want to overthink this question. But yeah, that's my reason for the long silog. It's my favorite, and I just had it like 3 days ago.
Hey, thank you so much, Brian. I hope you enjoyed your long silog. Now let's go back to, before we get to Martin, actually, let's loop in our Iloilo candidates real quick. So how about Earl? What kind of silog best represents you, Earl, and why?
Funny enough, people from Iloilo are known to be very sweet people because Iloilo, city of love. So I'd say the best silog to represent me would probably be Tosilog, considering how sweet and savory it is. And of course, as Silongos are, being someone who likes tosilog, being someone who's sweet and lovable and loving as well, um, I'd also imply that I would also be giving the same kind of love and serving the Iloilo constituents if I do become the Iloilo Evening representative. Yeah.
All right, thank you so much, Earl. And now, how about your co-Iloilo candidate, Cedric Carmen, rather? What kind of silog are you?
Yes. Actually, I was gonna answer what Earl answered. I was gonna be the Tosilog as well because of its sweetness. But honestly, I don't want to overthink this as well. I would choose corn silog. First because it's my favorite type of silog, and also because I just had corn silog this morning. So yeah, I think that's it.
All right, corn silog. Kakaiba yun ah. I haven't had that. Maybe I should one of these days. All right, let's go to our first years first. Let's go to Mia Cruz. What kind of silog best represents you and why?
All right, I have a similar answer. I'd also be Tosilog because I think I would be sweet, warm, and comforting, and I hope to be that towards my batchmates as their batch representative. Thank you.
Thank you, Mia, and also for your co-candidate, JT. What kind of silog do you think best represents you, JT?
I think I'll be Tapsilog. So just to add some context, I spent 6 years of my high school in UP, and one of the first things that I've tried in UP is Rodix Tapsilog, and now I've seen like how it went from 65 pesos to I think 135. So just like how I was a kid back then, I think I've improved now, thanks to UP. Thank you.
All right, thank you, JT. I actually think you might have answered the affordable food choices question with that also. All right, and now for our final candidate, let's go to Martin Alfonso Pascual. What kind of silog do you think best represents you and why?
So I think the silog that best represents me is top silog. So I would say I'm a top silog. So given their popularity, one can say that they're the go-to of many people, no? So just like me, I'm very approachable. And with this, I aim to be the go-to person of my batchmates with whatever issues they have. No? So with that, I am the top silog. Thank you.
All right, Martin, good luck being the top silog in your candidacy. Now let's go to the next question. All right, let's see what we have. Okay, this one is actually also for Martin Pascual again, and it hasn't flashed yet. Oh, there we go. So an anonymous asker wanted to ask, could you please enlighten us on your previous leadership roles? Whenever you're ready, Martin.
All right. So a bit about myself now. My past leadership, I really just want to focus on my past leadership roles in the UP College of Law since freshman year. Just last semester was the first time I actually became a class beadle for my credit class. And it was the first time that I actually took on a quote unquote leadership role in the UP College of Law. And throughout the semester, I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed helping my batchmates, my classmates with whatever they need in that class. And it transcended to the second semester. No? So I also became a beadle for my credit class. And thankfully, there was an opportunity to run for second year batch representative. And here I am. I took it because it is through those roles that I felt that this was something that I wanted to do. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Martin. Sorry, just a brief technical thing there. Okay, and now for our next question. The food one was personal to me. This one's a little bit more personal because if there's anything I love more than food, it is sleeping. And I have to ask all the Diliman candidates, what do you guys think of sleeping quarters here in Malcolm Hall? So let's start with the person I haven't started with yet. Let's start with Mia Cruz. What do you think of sleeping quarters in Malcolm?
Hello, yes, I am 100% for sleeping quarters here in Malcolm as someone who has largely relied on the couches of the lounge where I'm currently in right now for the last few days to survive. So I think sleeping quarters here in Malcolm would especially be a good idea, given that most of us as law students end up either pulling all-nighters or staying up late to accomplish all our academics. And it would also be part of my goal of being able to maintain everyone's physical health, like in my plan for having a first aid. So in short, yes, I would like to have sleeping quarters here in Malcolm, and hopefully this is something we can bring up for our constituents should I be elected. Thank you.
Thank you, Mia. Now let's go to Martin. What do you think of sleeping quarters here in Malcolm Hall?
So just like what Mia said, I agree with her that sleeping quarters in Malcolm Hall would be a very good idea given our workload as students, given our schedule in the UP College of Law. It would be a very good opportunity to get some rest and at the same time to feel rejuvenated, no, for the next day or maybe the next class. And with this, in order to improve the said quarters, going back to my platform earlier, one of my projects is to have a batch fundraiser. And hopefully, if ever there is going to be a Malcolm sleeping quarters, I can connect these two and maybe improve the Malcolm quarters through the batch fundraisers that I plan to have. Thank you.
Thank you, Martin. Now let's go to JT. What do you think of sleeping quarters here in Malcolm Hall?
Of course, as someone who loves to get enough sleep, I would be 100% down for a sleeping quarters in Malcolm, especially for people who live far. For example, they have to drive early or they have to commute early to avoid traffic. Then, aside from catching up with sleep during midterms and finals week, this would be a good option for those who would want to go to Malcolm early and wait for their class and still get enough rest. Thank you.
Thank you, JT. And again, I know you noted that you are from the BGC campus, but I guess as a quote, as the PRO of the entire UP Law community, I should also ask Brian Gandis, what do you think of sleeping quarters here in Malcolm Hall?
I would like sleeping quarters. Initially, I was unsure about this question if it was referring to the available dormitories in UP Diliman campus, but given the way that this has been answered, I think it would be very nice to have sleeping quarters. My question would only be about sanitation, on how regularly to be cleaned, since we are still in the approaching, hopefully, towards the end of the pandemic. It would be very useful, especially as somebody who is often lacking sleep, as any law student is. It'd be very beneficial overall. Yes.
Okay, thank you, Brian. Now we have a little bit of a more serious question coming up next. So if my colleagues could flash it. Okay, this one, bit of a hot topic, a very loaded question, but very relevant one as well. So let me ask you candidates, what is your stance on fraternity violence and how could you protect your constituents from those things? So let's start with our Iloilo representatives. So I want to start with Cedric. So Cedric, could you tell us what your stance is on FRV and how you can protect your constituents in Iloilo?
Yes. So I'm against fraternity violence, of course. I don't think that physical or any type of violence is the way to promote a brotherhood or sisterhood or camaraderie between two members of the same organization. So I think that this is something that should be addressed from its core as well. Should be addressed from the insides of the organization. So as much as possible, of course, we don't want to discourage everyone or discourage our constituents from joining. That's rights. But as much as possible, we would like to, encourage everyone to be more vigilant and make sure that they protect themselves from any form of violence in any form of when they enter into the organizations that they join.
Thank you so much, Cedric. And now for the other Iloilo candidate, Earl, what do you think about FRV and how can you protect your constituents in Iloilo Eve?
Yes. I'm also against frat-related violence. As a matter of fact, I'm very invested in the current discussion going on regarding the Triskelion frat-related issue that's currently on Senate discussion right now. I'm very invested in listening to how the proceedings go on because of how the anti-hazing law ought to be amended as well. Um, I have the same thoughts as Cedric, to be honest. We don't want to restrict how fraternities assemble and stuff like that. As a matter of fact, it's a constitutional right. We don't have any, we can't have any qualms with regards to that. Fraternities can assemble peaceably. However, with regards to how they welcome brothers and stuff like that, that's stuff that we can actually put a hamper on and try to regularize. So hopefully, moving forward, more fraternities
All right, sorry we had to mute you, Earl, due to the time limit. I apologize, but that is the rule. Now let's move on to Martin Pascual. What do you think about FRV and how can you protect your constituents from FRV?
Well, in general, I'm against violence. It shouldn't be. In general, I'm against violence. We don't want anyone getting hurt. And as a batch rep, I want to spread awareness regarding matters like these. And in my platform, I mentioned the use of a bulletin board, and this is where this I believe is very timely in that it's through that bulletin board, if ever I do get elected, that I will share and spread awareness. So I aim the UP College of Law to be a safe space for everyone. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Martin. And now let's move on to our PRO candidate, Brian Gan. What do you think about FRV and how can you protect your constituents from FRV?
Hi, my stance on frat-related violence is I'm not in favor of it. But what I do hear from those that I know to be in frats, apparently it's more of a traditional thing, and that it's uh, it's it's something that they're trying to phase out. I'm not 100% sure about that. I'm not part of a frat because I'm not sure if I have time as indeed a evening student, meaning that I have to juggle a job. So I'm not sure if it's being phased out or it tends to be phased out, but I do hope it does get phased out because coming from a psych background, it kind of sounds like trauma bonding. How can I protect my constituents from those? I guess one way to go about it would be to use the UPLSG's channels to educate people or to inform people about the dangers of hazing and other things, as well as maybe, since we're all law students, the penalties in case they do get caught. But in general, it's a bad idea.
All right, so we had to mute Brian for the same reason, ran out of time. It is a very loaded question, but I do want to remind everyone to keep their answers within the time limit. And now we'll move on to our batch reps from the Freshie batch. So Mia Cruz, could you tell me what your stance is on FRV and how you can protect your constituents from it?
So I am very much against fraternity-related violence, and part of my plans as batch rep would be first, under the batch newsletter, we are also planning on making the batch more aware of particular issues that concern the batch. So that would also include information regarding frat-related violence so that when people decide to join, they can make informed decisions. And at the same time, one of the other initiatives we are planning on having is a grievance form. That way, if such events do happen, there are channels appropriate for people to respond and to make me and possibly JT as representatives aware so that we can also take more accountable action towards any individuals who may continue to perpetuate this violence. Thank you.
Okay, and finally for JT Taloma, what is your stance on fraternity-related violence and how can you protect your constituents in the Freshie batch from it?
I am against FRV or any kind of violence, and something that I could do as batch rep to protect my batchmates or my constituents from experiencing those is that I could have prepared a hotline for the proper authorities so that when actions like that happen, or even if there are suspicious behavior that they have observed, they could properly or quickly contact the proper authorities that could help them. As It could also be possible that we would have a team in the LSG that would act quickly uh, if ever that happens. And since this issue is not only limited to our college, but to the whole university, it could also be elevated to the USC. Thank you.
All right. Thank you to everybody for giving your takes on this very pressing issue that our campus is facing today. So now, we've been asking a lot of questions to the Diliman candidates in particular, but I do want to loop back in our Iloilo candidates for another question, which is, as the first set of representatives from the Iloilo campus, how can you ensure that your constituents' needs will be met? So let's start again with Earl. So Earl, could you tell us how you plan to lead the way as the first representative from the Iloilo campus?
I think it's mostly going the most important factor in ensuring that we be very tightly knit communication with all the constituents. Considering how low the number is, that's not hard to do. We have what, 4 blocks, 2 from the second years, then 2 from the first years right now, and then we have 2 more coming in from the upcoming first years. That's not hard to do, to communicate with them. Multiple GCs, multiple Discord channels, even a centralized one could be created. And then all their grievances could be centered on and then addressed in one hand easily.
Yeah. So that's, I think, there's a new campaign coming.
Thank you, Earl. And for our other Iloilo-based candidate, Cedric, what do you think? How would you lead the way as the pioneer of the Iloilo campus?
Yes. So I think that being part of the LSG will be a big help. Again, what I mentioned earlier, one of my main goals is to connect the Iloilo campus to the UP Law community in general. So once we are part of the LSG, we hope to have a hotline, or in a way be directly involved, or make the LSG directly involved in the concerns of our Iloilo constituents. And with that, I think it would be easier also to for the transition for UP Iloilo to be part of the entire community. But also, as to the internal factor of Iloilo as a community, we also have our plans for the academic libraries, the virtual libraries. That's since the main concern, of course, is academics. So that's how we plan to make sure that the resources of the upper class get passed down to us, and that we can pass them down to the future generations as well. Thank you.
Okay, sorry, Cedric, had to cut you off due to the time limit. Now let's get to our next question. So thank you again to our Iloilo candidates for sharing their thoughts on how they would act as Iloilo rep. And now this one's to all our candidates. What very general, simple question, but could start a lot of complex answers. So let's ask this: what do you want to improve about the law student government? Let's start with our only candidate for the entire UP Law community, Brian Gan for PRO. How would you improve the LSG?
Specifically for the role of the PRO, I'm not a fan of the current SOCMED of the LSG. I hope that doesn't sound too bad, but it looks a lot like it's founded on X deals, so share for shares, like for likes, from what I was able to initially gather. There's also not a lot of organic traffic. It looks like it's something that's just an announcement channel. I'd like it more to be very engaging and attentive to and listening to what UP Law students have to say. Because in my stay so far in UP Law, there's a lot of things that I would like to raise, or a lot of concerns that I'm pretty sure we all have as students. And I think that if we are able to consolidate that, we'll be able to have a louder voice when it comes to the UP Law admin. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Brian. Now let's get to our first year candidates. I guess a very interesting question, especially as rookies to UP Law. What would you do to improve the LSG? Let's start with JT Taloma.
Okay. Having first year batch representatives would, of course, greatly improve the situation of first years, especially that in the past time we didn't have a batch representative. So the projects mostly aren't centered towards the first year students. But I think this is a crucial time wherein first year students, since this is our adjustment period, it would be a huge improvement if we have projects that are very catered to us. One thing that I really wanna have is, that I intend to do is have batch socials, or not even just batch socials, but also socials within the campus, so that we would have familiar faces in the campus, and that we would have a bigger solid support system in general. Thank you.
Thank you, JT. Now for Mia, what would you do to improve the LSG?
Hi, yes. So to the LSG's credit, I quite liked the initiatives towards the start of the year, where we had like block handling and adapt, so that we could get various advice about how to adjust. I think one thing I would want to improve, I guess, is the sustainability of these initiatives moving forward towards our batch, especially since, as JT mentioned, we don't have a lot of events or initiatives strictly catered towards the freshmen. So, in short, I would also like to improve the academics of our batch, which is why we have that included as part of both of our GISPOAs. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mia. And now for Martin Pascual, what do you want to improve about the LSG?
So, the LSG has been doing well, but just like anything around, there are things that could be improved on, no? So, having experienced the LSG in the first sem, what I want to improve on is providing more platforms for the students to be heard. So, as I mentioned earlier, I can address this, if elected, through the projects that I mentioned, such as bulletin boards or fundraiser, and also a grievance form. So these are projects that, if elected, would enable the students these would enable the students to have more ways or more mediums for them to be heard, and for me to elevate these suggestions or input from my batch up to the LSG. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And now for our ILO candidates, Cedric.
Hello. Yes, I agree with most of their answers. The LSG has been doing well, but of course, there's still room for improvement. First, as Iloilo, as coming from the Iloilo campus, most of the concerns that are being addressed are not really communicated easily to us, since we don't have Iloilo reps, and as a freshman, also we don't have a batch rep as of last time. So hopefully that will be addressed by I plan to address this by streamlining again the concerns of my constituents directly to the LSG. And also like what Brian mentioned earlier, it would be better if the communication or the publications or the social media presence of the LSG will be improved. And I hope through that we can be better integrated as an Iloilo community to the events of the LSG. Thank you.
Thank you, Cedric. And now for Earl, what do you want to improve about the law student government?
Coming from the Iloilo Evening Block, the best way for me to improve the LSG would be bringing the interest and the grievances of the Iloilo, of the people from the Iloilo extension classes, particularly those of the evening classes, because the day classes, the evening classes, they have their own unique needs and insights as well. So those ought to be addressed with the LSG as well. So yeah, there's that.
Thank you again, candidates. And now our next question, another very pressing matter. This one is about a bit more personal, So how can you help improve the mental health of law students? We all know law school is stressful, so this is a very pressing question. And I want to start again with Martin Pascual for second year batch rep. How can you help improve the mental health of your fellow law students?
So yeah, I agree that it's a very, very important matter. And with this, I do understand that mental health and law school, they're very closely related. And with this, as I mentioned earlier, my plans are really geared towards the batch. So I want to give the batch the platform, the medium for them to be able to share with other people, and at the same time share with LSG or admin. And it's through these projects that I hope that my batchmates will feel like they have a safe space around them for them to to share what they're going through, or to feel that in the UP College of Law Diliman, in our batch, they don't feel alone. So maraming salamat po.
Thank you so much, Martin. And now let's get to our first year candidates. So let me ask JT Taloma how he can help improve the mental health of law students.
So aside from the current initiatives of the LSG, like they offer assistance or professional help, one thing that I could do as batch rep is, of course, recognize the fact that just seeing familiar faces around the campus, your batchmates, your upperclassmen, and sharing the same experience of being a law student is something that could help us. So as I've in one of my platforms, since and one of my duties is togetherness. So under togetherness, we would have socials or other initiatives wherein students could take their mind off from law school and could get to know each other more, their batchmates. And I think this could be a huge help in helping improve the mental health of my batchmates, including.
Thank you, JT. And now let's go to Mia. How can you help improve the mental health of law students?
Hi, so one of my initiatives for the batch would be Hell Week initiatives, where basically, since we understand that Hell Week is one of those times where our mental health isn't necessarily at its peak, we have possible initiatives such as emotional support dogs, mental health counseling as well. And for some long initiative, we also do have like possible forms that people can fill out regarding any issues they may experience. While these are largely limited at present to particular parts of the SEM, we're hoping that once we get the groundwork going, this kind of effort can be sustained in the long run, such that it treats the mental health of the law students as a continuing concern that needs to be addressed. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Mia. And now let's get to our ILO reps. Let me ask Earl, how can you help improve the mental health of law students?
Just like any issue, the first step to addressing problems like that would be to knowing it. So the grievance desk that I have been planned that I have in plan to create actually collects general problems across all the people, because as I've mentioned before, we're a small community as of the moment. So collecting and communicating with everyone is not that hard still. And then afterwards, getting those issues, of course, we try to address it as a government, as LSG. And then another thing that I would like to emphasize is that socialization. Socialization is something that we can all do every time we do face-to-face classes at Iloilo City. And then that in itself already is a huge help, because knowing that you have someone beside you, knowing that you have someone who has the same sets of problems as you, that gives you a boost in mental energy already.
Thank you, Mr. Lencho. Now let's get to Cedric. So how can you help improve the mental health of law students?
Okay, so first of all, to address one of the root causes of mental health problems of law students in general, we plan to at least ease the academic pressure of the students, or the difficulties of the students, through our planned sessions and our planned resource library. But more than that, as Earl mentioned, we are a small community. It's easier for us to come together and just bond in a way that would lessen the pressure of law school. So for the face-to-face, particularly when we'll all meet, we've already planned some events that are not relate or that are more on the socialization aspect, not particularly related to the face-to-face classes. So we hope that that would impact or that would affect positively the mental health of our constituents.
Thank you, Cedric. And finally, for our PRO candidate, Brian Gan, how can you help improve the mental health of law students? Brian?
Baka daw on deck siya. Ka-skip daw.
Okay, so I think Brian actually might be on deck right now. So let's pray for his reset and let's move on to the next question. Okay, so our next question, we're going to circle back into the very loaded question earlier about fraternity-related violence. And I do want to ask you guys how you feel about this on a very personal level, because I have to ask you, are you affiliated with any fraternity or sorority? If yes, how will you handle conflicts of interest? Now, I want all the candidates to turn their let's just flash a quick thumbs up or thumbs down for who is affiliated or isn't affiliated, just so that I know who to ask the question to first. So, candidates, could you please turn on your cameras? Okay, so how about Earl? Earl, are you there?
Yes, class.
Okay, I think. Oh, there we go. Okay. Now, a quick thumbs up or thumbs down. Are you guys affiliated with any fraternity or sorority? Go. Okay, so it seems that Earl is the only one who is affiliated right now. So let me start with him. Everyone else, please turn your cameras off. Okay. Before I ask Earl this question, I will still ask this question to the other candidates, because even if you aren't affiliated, we have an alternative question to this, but I'll ask it after Earl. So Earl, as somebody affiliated with a fraternity, and also please do state your fraternity, how will you handle conflicts of interest between the LSG and possible fraternity-related issues?
I'm affiliated with Sigma Rho fraternity as of the moment. With regards to conflicts of interest, as a progressive fraternity as of the moment, I don't think we're gonna have one. And if ever it does come to a point, we will be resolving it with you personally, with the constituents, with the LSG as well. As a matter of fact, we've even partnered with LSG already on some projects previously, and they've also acknowledged a lot of our projects already before. So I don't think we're gonna have any conflicts of interest, but if we do, we're gonna resolve it peaceably between together.
All right, thank you so much, Earl. Now, as I said, we do still have to ask this even if you aren't affiliated, because of course, when you work in the LSG, there may be conflicts of interest with your co-council mates who are affiliated. So I do have to ask, how can you ensure that your co-LSG members who are affiliated will remain impartial in light of possible issues? So let me start with the first years. Let me start with Mia Cruz. How will you hold your co-LSG members who are affiliated accountable?
I would hold them accountable by reminding them that first and foremost, they are elected officials who were put into the law student government to serve their constituents. And because of that trust that was put in them, they should at the very least, put the interest of the law school community in mind. So that would be how I would handle that situation. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mia. Now let's go to JT. JT, how will you handle possible conflicts of interest with affiliated co-LSG members?
Aside from what Mia has mentioned, an important thing that we could do as if I'm elected as LSG and be part of the LSG is, of course, have to settle matters via discourse. Sorry. So this would mean that, for example, there are problems even if it's not FRB, other problems that may arise from uh, these organizations. It could be aired out to me by my batchmates, and then I could elevate it to the LSG. And since there would be members that are part of these organizations, then it would be easier for me and my co-LSG members to settle conflicts uh, as such. Thank you.
Thank you for that, JT. And now let's go to our second year batch representative candidate, Martin Pascual. How will you handle any conflicts of interest with any LSG members who might be affiliated with fraternities or sororities?
So I would resolve it by reminding them and holding them accountable of I would hold them accountable by reminding them of their role in our batch or in our school. So I would stress that I would stress the importance of the majority of our batch, of our school, over their own vested interest, if ever that happens. And if ever it still can't be resolved between me and that other person, then I am willing to seek the help of those around me or those superior to me in order to address this issue right away so that it does not get out of hand. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Martin. And now our final response from Cedric. Please let me know, how would you handle any conflicts of interest that might arise with co-LSG members who might be affiliated?
Yes, I'd like to echo what Julian said. Particularly, this issue can be best addressed through a communication with not only with our constituents for their concerns on the matter, but also with the concerned LSG member with the conflict of interest. Because the best thing that we can do, I think, is to remind them, like what they said, to remind them that this is not, or that the main priority as members or as officers of the LSG is the welfare of our constituents, and that should be the foremost consideration when it comes to making decisions for the LSG. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Cedric. And now I do want to, for transparency, we have allowed Brian Gan and Earl Lenshaw to step out due to them having class. So good luck in your class, guys, and thank you so much for attending. But for the rest of you who are still here, we have our very, very last question. And if that question was a very serious and loaded one, this one is a little bit more, this one's going to bend your mind a little bit. This very much so more serious than the last question. So hit me with the last slide, please. All right. Ang tanong naman natin ay, mas gugustuhin mo ba maging good-looking pero mabaho or mabango pero pangit? Let's start with our second-year batch representative, Martin Pascual. Would you rather be good-looking na mabaho or mabango pero pangit?
I agree with you, no? That's a very tricky question. So, I think I'd rather be mabaho na pogi or mabaho na maganda. Kasi, well, for me, kung mabaho ako, I can just stay away from other people so I don't have to disturb them with my smell, but at the same time, keep myself actually, yeah, no? So mabaho na pogi. Mabaho na pogi or maganda, since hopefully naman if I take maybe around 5 showers in a day, that can change. But actually either way they're not that bad. Mabaho na pogi or mabango na pangit. It won't distract me from doing my job.
All right, so we had a very undecided answer from Mr. Pascual. Very inclusive yung sagot niya, di ba? I do want to stress, this actually was a question that we asked last year sa ating convocation, sa ating last special election. So, classic Elocom question. Always be ready for it. And let's go to Cedric from Iloilo. Mas gugustuhin mo ba maging pogi na mabaho or mabango pero pangit?
Okay, so I would also like to qualify my answer for this. On a normal day, siguro I would answer mabango pero pangit, because I think that's closer to my reality. Not just kidding. But anyway, for me personally, I think that being or smelling good is actually something that boosts your kapugian in a way. So on a normal day, I would choose mabango pero pangit. Pero in this current age where most of us, or at least us here in Iloilo, we still have Zoom classes on the regular. So if I could be mabaho pero pogi, I would much prefer that. Thank you.
All right, Cedric, thank you. I hope that works out well for you. So yeah, let's go to JT for first year batch rep. Would you rather be mabaho na good looking or mabango pero pangit?
Ah, I'd rather be mabango pero pangit because if I were to be elected as a part of the LSG as the representative of first year students, then I'd rather be someone who is easy to approach, and I don't think someone who is mabaho is someone who is easy to approach. So by being approachable, I am able to do my job very well as their representative. That is why I choose mabango pero pangit. Thank you.
Thank you so much, JT. And now, last, definitely not least, our first year batch rep candidate, Mia Cruz. Mas gugustuhin mo ba maging good looking pero mabaho or mabango pero pangit?
Yes, it loaded. All right, I would prefer to be mabango pero pangit because while first impressions do matter, I imagine that it would be more of a plus or rather a pleasant surprise if it turns out you do smell good. And at the same time, I feel like looks aren't the only thing that matters. The right person will like you for who you are, regardless of how you look. Thank you.
Sorry, nakamute pala ako. Thank you so much to all our candidates. I'm sure that was a very tricky question, and I hope, as I said nga kay Cedric, I hope all your answers work out well for you guys. So, before we end, I do have to give you guys one last chance to give your closing spiel. Just let the people know what you're about and why we should vote for you. So you guys will each have 2 minutes to deliver your closing spiel. And I want to start with our first year batch representative, Julian Vincent Taloma. Whenever you're ready.
Okay, so I started earlier with a Nike quote, so I'm gonna end with another Nike quote, and they said that strong alone, unstoppable together. So for my fellow first year students, we've been all strong and how we've conquered first semester, but I believe that we could be unstoppable together, and especially if I were to be your batch representative, my three duties, which is teamwork, togetherness, and training, we could definitely make something great. So I hope you guys vote for me, and more importantly, exercise your right to vote on Thursday. Thank you.
Thank you, Julian Taloma. Now let's go to your other candidate for first year batch representative, Mia Isabella Cruz. Closing thoughts? Okay, I think Mia's having a bit of a problem with her laptop, so let's get to the next candidate before going back to her. Oh no, there she is. There you are.
Hello.
All right, so Mia. Yeah, no, you're good. You're good. Okay, so yeah, whenever
Thank
you're ready.
you. All right. So, as I have shown during the last week, along with JT, we're both competent and ready to serve. And I know I have said take a chance on me, but today I would also like to say take a chance on the both of us. Mamma Mia, please don't let me go. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mia. Now let's move on to second year with our second year batch rep candidate, Martin Alfonso Pascual. Give your closing thoughts and let the people know what you're about.
All right. So after all the questions, I hope that you know me a little bit more now. And hopefully I was able to share with everyone the ideas I have should I get elected. No? So at the end, I hope you all exercise your right to vote. And actually right now, I'm not gonna tell you to vote for me anymore. What I want, hopefully, is that you want to vote for me after everything that I've shared. And hopefully, if there's still some clarifications you guys need, you can always message me anytime, approach me in school. And I'd like to share with you guys whatever questions you guys have. We can talk about it, we can discuss it. And hopefully, like what Mia said, you can take a chance on me. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Pascual. And now for our final candidate, Joshua Cedric Carmen, running for Iloilo Day Representative. Give us your closing thoughts.
Okay, so first of all, I would like to take this opportunity to thank everyone who supported me, not just here in my candidacy for Iloilo Day Representative, but during my stint as your block rep. I know that we constitute about 90% siguro of the whole Iloilo Day. So I hope that you continue to put your trust on me during the upcoming elections. Like I said earlier, what we want here in Iloilo is to feel like we are indeed UP law students and not UP Iloilo students. So we hope that I hope that through me you get to experience this UP law feeling, and I hope that you consider me and Earl as well for our Iloilo evening students. I hope that you consider us to be your voice to the LSG. So again, thank you everyone, and I hope you exercise your right to vote on Thursday.
Thank you, Cedric, and thank you again so much to all the candidates. I wish you all the best of luck with all your candidacies. And thank you again to everyone who joined us, my fellow Elecom commissioners, and everybody who was watching on the YouTube live. Shout out to you guys. Thank you so much. But if you weren't able to catch the start of the program, this convocation will still be available on YouTube. So follow the same link that you entered on, and feel free to share it with your friends so that they know more about our candidates running for the UP LSG this special elections. Now, candidates, reminder that your campaign ban will start this March 22. So that will be Wednesday. So tomorrow will be your last day to campaign. Get your voices out there. Get your campaign stuff out there. And then the next day after that, March 23, will be election day. So to all the voters, remember to exercise your right to vote if you can, and hope to see you all there. Now, before we end this program, I do want to call on our very beloved Elecom chair, Miss Air Ong, to give us some final thoughts. Take it away, Air.
Hi, thank you. Thank you, Andy. So hi, everyone. I'm Air, the current chairperson of Elecom. We just wanted to thank you all again, the candidates and the viewers, for joining us tonight. To the electorate, please make sure to cast your vote during the election proper, which will be on March 23, this Thursday. So all you have to do is go to upd.edu.ph and sign in using your UP mail. We will also have physical precincts in room 303 in Diliman and at the Student Lounge in BGC. For grievances, you may proceed to these precincts or submit them through the tech complaint form we will be releasing on the day of elections. So with that, we end our convocation for the special elections for the LSG for the academic year 2022-2023. We thank you so much again for joining us and have a great evening.
Hi guys, so our YouTube live has stopped. You guys can leave it on an end. Thank you again for showing up.